Hey there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kellie and Jon. Today, our guest is Katerin, and you have more to your title. Can you share with us what you prefer to be referred to as or called?
Yeah, Katrine is fine. Some
Okay.
people call me Vive, and I'm usually fine with that. But
Okay.
I am Katrine, and I go by Katrine. So thank you.
Okay.
It's very nice to meet you, Kelly and Jon. Nice to see Jon again. I've been speaking with him recently, and it's just been a great pleasure every time I talk to him. And so it's finally
That's
great
awesome.
to meet you. Thank you again for having me here as your
Sure.
guest. I'm very excited.
Our pleasure. Our
Yay.
pleasure.
Well, we're
Now,
excited to hear more about you because you
yeah,
have so
because
many career titles. You do so much. And I'm guessing that the Vive part of your name is, just grabbing life by the horns and living as much as you can and doing everything that you can do. It sounds like. Is that
It's Vive, and Vive
Vive?
means to live life, right?
Okay.
that's
I was
right.
sitting one afternoon at home, and I was like, I think what I want to do is I just want to live my life, and I want to just do exactly that. I want to go out and I want to inspire others to live their life too. And my mom would call me Katerine, and so I called myself Katerine, and that's what I was known for in my family, and that's what they called me. And so I became Viva Katerin, and that was the brand that I started out with, and then we took it from there. And so,
Well, you certainly took a path because you have your master's. You went to school. You got your master's, correct?
yes.
Okay. And what I like about this, folks, is that she is in. I won't say in the entertainment industry, but she's in the entertainment business, which is a different world.
Yeah,
A
what do you
different.
do? So you're an entertainment and business consultant. What does that entail?
So I help other people with their brands. I help companies grow from a small homegrown business to a large empire. I help build new talent, emerging talent, their careers in music. I also I'm a partner with a talent management company, and on top of that, we are working to acquire a production company and go in as a merger under one umbrella. So there's a lot in the entertainment industry that I do manage. In addition to music, I also manage talent for TV or for movies, etc. And on top of that, I'm an executive human resources professional, and it's what I do.
Do you mind sharing the name of the talent management company?
Yes, it is Step Forward Entertainment. We're based out of Florida, New York, and Los Angeles.
Okay. Years ago, I worked for William Morris Endeavor. You may have heard of
Sure.
them. Yeah. So I loved that part of the business, but then I went off into the acting. I got the acting bug and went off into the acting side. So, but yeah, the business side
Well,
is a lot of fun.
now, let me ask you this: since you're in the New York area now, and I'm sure you're aware of in New Jersey with what happened with Fort Monmouth and how, or a handful of studios or production companies, Amblin, I believe Amazon or Netflix and Sony, I believe, have all bought or are renting huge parcels of land there and opening up studios. Some people say they're up and running. Other people say not yet. So, do you find that that is now a situation like it being in LA? You have all your production companies and your studios there. And of course, a few years ago when they were doing Walking Dead, at the Atlanta area became very hot for studios, and still is to a degree, but it was very popular. Do you see something like that happening now here?
There's been a lot of change in the industry, specifically in LA and California, right? So I will say that we are definitely developing, and we are certainly building out more production studios, and not just in Jersey, but as you know, in Brooklyn and
Right.
and
Yeah.
in parts of Jersey. So yes, we are definitely expanding, and of course in other states as well. But primarily, we are seeing tremendous growth here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I
lot,
like that. So you don't just have to go to Hollywood to be
no.
an actor or to have achieve success in the music business, or the entertainment business. So you wrote a book, and we want to hear about it. So it's called Vive Katerin 28, and 28 must mean something special to you, right?
Yes, absolutely. So Vive Katerin 28 was born from a place of truth. I've lived through moments that broke me, shaped me, and ultimately brought me closer to who I am today. And I didn't just want to tell a story. I wanted to create something that could heal and connect and remind others that they're not alone. And so 28, my son just turned 28 this year in April, which is why I needed to hurry up quickly and release that book right before his birthday in April. And we sold out across all platforms in just under 30 days.
Oh,
Excellent.
wow.
Actually, 28 days.
Oh, wow. So that is a good number for you. What's the lesson? What's the biggest lesson that you would say that you're conveying through that book, or that you're trying to share with people?
Well, I'm going to talk about the title. The title 28 represents a defining chapter in my life. It's been a year of transformation where pain met purpose, and it symbolizes my growth, awakening, and really stepping into my identity with clarity, faith, and inner strength. So those chapters are real life experiences, and it's a journey that really should inspire in just 28 tips.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Well, having done all the things that you've done, so I'm looking at your biography over here. So you've been a publicist, a host, you're a certified life coach, executive advisor, and it says a woman who turns vision into reality. I have to tell you, you just sound like someone who wants to fit as much life in every day that you live as you can. I mean, it just sounds like you've done so many things. And, a lot of people, they'll pick one thing and they just do it their whole life. And
Yeah.
that's fine. And you can become, really good at something if you do it every day of your life. And then other people want to do, like, I think I'm a little bit like you. I want to do everything. Like every time I hear of some new kind of career or job, I'm like, I want to do that too. So it sounds like I would relate to you and probably love to read your book. I'm excited to hear because, yeah, I think if you've never been broken, you really haven't lived because you're playing it safe, you're taking the easy way, and you're not taking chances. So and that's again, that's okay if people want to choose that path in their life. But if you haven't taken chances and risks and been down on your knees on the floor crying because of disappointment or hurt or rejection or whatever it is, then you're really not living and taking chances. So I love to meet people like you and love to hear the stories of strong women who want more out of life, who want everything out of life. So I really am excited to, hear more about you and your book. What are you working on now? Like, what is your next? So you've done the book, it's been a bestseller. What else do you think you want to do?
Well, let me start with your I guess your introduction as to what I've done in my life and how I've lived and have handled multiple careers. I'd like to just touch on the reflection of life experiences that I've been through in my journey. I am Katerin, and Katerin is every woman who has struggled, has loved deeply. That I definitely have done. But I've also fallen. And I've always found my way back. And my story is rooted in my real experiences, but it's written in a way that allows others to see themselves in Katerin. And that's how I came up with, like I said earlier, the stage name of Vive Katerin. As far as where I'm going after this, right? What, how has that book changed me, or, where are we going with it? I would say that probably thinking of a film, or possibly looking to expand into a podcast of in itself, and really tell the story and help others to be able to identify with something that they're struggling with. So I hope that helps to answer your question.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of you doing a podcast that's inspiring and empowering for women, or women and men. I hate that we divide ourselves to, women and men's problems. And I hope that we reach the point that we talk about just because women's problems are men's problems, and sometimes women's problems are men. Oh, that was just a little jest, and vice versa. And so human problems, I like the idea of exploring human problems, but there are, unique problems that we each have, gender wise. But I like the idea of exploring, just becoming more harmonious in our lives and living together harmoniously with other people and everything. So anything that helps people explore themselves, self exploration, self awareness, is always going to benefit everybody around us. Right?
Yeah, I think that this story has a lot of layers that deserves to be experienced in different ways, and hence why I brought in the moon phases into the book, as well as gemstones into the book, based on every tip. So it really does come together to be able to have that type of structure. And I think that it will be a lot more interesting once we get the other future projects up and running.
Okay.
This is
So
just the beginning.
Did writing the book change how you view yourself? I don't know if you asked that
Yes.
yet. Oh,
So I would say, I think that's a great question. Actually,
it is. Yeah.
I will say reliving the moments that I tried to forget. That was a very challenging thing for me as I was writing. But I do remember it was a snowy afternoon, my brother George asking me how I felt that I've written this book now, and what was I feeling? And I really was confused, didn't really know how to answer that, except that, gosh, I'm glad it's, written. It feels enlightening. It feels great. But I didn't really have the full feeling yet as to what I was truly going through. And as I think about it now and I reflect on Vive Katerin 28, after thinking about his question, I realized that writing forced me to be honest, and that there were times that I had to sit with emotions that I once avoided. That was difficult, but also incredibly freeing for me. So I think, John, to answer your question, it's definitely a feeling of freedom.
Well, when you were just wrapping up what you were saying, again, and not to focus on me as opposed to you, but my first book was a memoir. And I found it, because I had to be honest. I had to admit things that I probably, well, in the case of my book, it never would have admitted in public until years and years later. So and it was very cathartic. I'm sure it was, as yours was for you too. You had to face these things, say them, sometimes even if, in my case, didn't always come out looking like a champ, but if you're going to be honest, you got to do that. So that's why I like that question of, did it change how you view yourself? I thought it was a great question. So go ahead, carry on, Kelly.
Well, I'm looking through your bio and just reading a little more about, um, your book, which sounds very fascinating. So who would really be interested in reading this book?
I would say,
I have no idea. Okay. No, there was a thumb on my image. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Who would read your book? Absolutely.
thank you. So I'd say the ideal reader would be anyone who has felt lost, anyone who's been broken or unsure of their worth, especially women who are searching for healing, who are searching for their identity and their purpose.
Okay, that probably could be everyone, especially younger people. So it
Yeah.
might be beneficial for younger people. I know there's been times when I've read a book when I was older, and I'm like, I wish somebody would have told me this before. Because in our path and our search through life to find who we are and what we want, sometimes we waste time, we make mistakes. And I know life is about learning and owning it yourself. But there's some things like I don't need to go through that. If somebody would have just told me their story, I could have avoided my own little
Well,
Yeah,
challenge.
and I talk about that in that first page in the introduction that I'd like to stick with the age of 28 and older because, you can get married at 26, you can get married at 28, but you really have that experience, you have those tips, you can start working on things you're starting to identify. Again, it's really meant for those that are searching the healing, the identity and the purpose of their life.
Yeah. Do you think any of it applies to maybe trauma from childhood to help people purge any childhood trauma, or is it just
I
really
think that's
for,
a whole different realm.
yeah,
I think
probably,
trauma is
yeah.
a whole different
Yeah, that's
realm.
probably needs some psychology in there. But yeah, I guess being young and finding your way is a very, whether
For
or not
sure.
you've had childhood trauma, whether you've had any trauma, it's just figuring out life, figuring out what you want to do with your life, right? Pretty much. Um, So how do you say how would you look at yourself? Have you changed? Have you changed at some point? Was there a point where you went, I want to do things differently or I'm different?
Mhm. For sure. I think the version of myself before the journey began, um, I had to continue to tell myself that I was going to be okay. And everything that our audience, right? Everything that I'm going through or that I went through, or that you're going through out there is preparing you for something greater. So I would tell myself, don't give up. You're going to be okay. So it was like in Rocky, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a runner, so I'm always listening to, music that's inspirational. It's not, it ain't, I'll say the quote the way I remember Mickey telling him, but it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's how
Yeah.
winning is done.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I keep to
True.
that.
True. I like that. Yeah, I think we all have like a song that can play in our head and inspire us or get us through that moment. For me, it's that Alicia Keys song. Everything's gonna be all right. I think it's not the song, I forget the exact words, but I can hear that like when I'm stressed. I'm like, just, it's fine. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. You'll get through it. You always do, right? We always do
For
and
sure.
especially when you're young and you get face disappointment or rejection or whatever it is, you just think you're going to die. You're just like, oh my gosh, I can't go on or I can't. And you sob yourself to sleep or whatever. And then, you know, a month later, you're like, oh wow, that was kind of silly to think I was going to die over that one. But yeah, life is just challenging. I mean, it's challenging. And I think the people that win are the ones that are resilient.
Right.
and
Absolutely.
get back up, like you said, after being hit as
Sure.
hard as you ever thought you could be hit, and you just get back up. I love that. I love it.
Well, yeah, I go with you get hit, don't fall down. Just don't fall down. You see, you're saying get up. I refuse to fall down. I'll stay up and keep moving forward. Maybe take
I love
another
that.
shot or two, but I refuse to fall down unless sometimes it's better to fall down.
That's
And
right.
you got to pick your battles. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not going to win every one of them. Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to know too was, again, being a writer, I have a routine when I write every day. Okay, what was your routine to write your book?
It was a little bit more of the structure that was necessary because I do work and I have other projects that I'm working on.
Uh,
So it really was having to look for the structure in my day and really finding the connection. I needed to make sure that when I had a moment, well, when I had an aha moment, that's when I needed to stop and say, okay, I need to be able to
put this down.
put this down and take a moment to really feel the connection and then know that it's structured time, but that it was going to be emotional and I had to be prepared for that. And I just sort of let the words come. And that's, as long as your words are real and they're not forced, then
Right.
Yeah.
that's really what I aim to do. So when I'm writing, I really need to find that moment of connection. And like I call it, it's the aha moment.
Hot moment.
Yeah. So that when you're writing, you start writing and you think one thing, and then as you write it, you're like, wait, you see it differently. Is that what you're calling the aha moment?
For
Okay.
sure.
Clarity. You gain clarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's
yeah.
why they say writing is so good to write a journal because it helps you gain clarity. What were you going to say, John?
A journal just becomes a memoir if it's good enough. It's
Well, many
it,
people write really good memoirs. Is
uh,
it
thank you,
the
thank
boss
you.
always sits in the back? No. Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So what's next?
So what's
What's
next?
Yeah, I mean, you got so many avenues that you go down, so many
Thank you,
paths
John.
that
Yeah.
that
What's next? There's so much going on. What's next, I guess. I would say that again, I continue to create, I continue to inspire, and I want to make sure that I can expand the message, whether it's through speaking, whether it's through that film project that I was talking about earlier, and then of course the podcast that we discussed. But amongst those things, I think that there are certainly other projects to get involved with, and this is just the beginning. So again,
I
I
like that.
think it's a good place for us to be able as a team to evaluate what the next phase is going to look like. And that
Yeah.
we'll share as we get closer.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're open for whatever. And I like that you said this is a beginning because you've already done so much. And now a new
yeah.
beginning. Yeah, something new.
Yes, of
Awesome.
course.
Well,
Awesome. Love it.
we definitely should talk again. Oh, it
Yeah.
looks
Is
like
there
I
anything that you
froze.
want to share with our audience about you? We will definitely put how they can contact you and find your book and anything else you want to put it in the description. We'll put that down in the description beneath the video. Is there anything you want to share though that a
Well, I
message?
think for anyone that, and thank you, Kelly, for that. I think that for anyone that reads just one page, I would want them to feel like they're seen. I would want them to be understood. And I would really want them to have hope. I want them to be hopeful. I think that these kind of conversations that we're having right here, right now, in the
Mhm.
moment, I think these conversations are honest. And I think those are important to have. And these conversations about pain, about faith, about love, about growth, there shouldn't be any shame that comes along with that. And I just want people to feel safe being real.
I love that.
And
You just
that's,
touched my heart. Yeah. I love that.
thank you. But I think that, in time, people will need to remember that the honesty is in themselves and that healing starts when you stop running from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give yourself grace and you trust the process, and trust me, I had to hear all of this all the time from my girlfriends and my family, but trust is the process. You have to trust it and understand that it takes growth and it takes time. And I truly believe that I can make a change to be the better version of yourself. And I'm literally going through that now. I'm literally not just going through getting to be the better version of myself, but my goal is to be the greatest version of myself.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think we're living in a very stifled culture. And I think that is one of the reasons people don't face the failings or their pain, whatever trauma, suffering, and we cover it and we bury it because we're told, well, you look fine. Just keep going. Just do this, do that. And we're expected to perform and excel and keep moving and keep going and bury our pain instead of I always prefer, I have friends, my friends know me. They're like, if I want to know the truth, I'll call you. But if I just don't feel prepared for it, then I don't, because I'm not going to lie to someone. And I always say, this is my perspective. You may feel differently, but this is what I see that you're going through, that you're doing. And I appreciate that. I want that from my friends. Don't lie to me to make me feel better, to protect me. I want the truth, living in the truth. And I think that's the only way we grow is if we seek truth throughout our life. So I love your message.
Thank you. And I think second chances are everything. I think they're proof that your story doesn't end where you thought it would,
Yes. Yeah.
and that there's God's way of saying, try again. But that second chance is tied to try again, but this time with wisdom that you didn't have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think, again, and I'll go back to Vive and what it means, which means to live. And it's living fully, which means you have to be present
Mm-hmm.
and you should be authentic
Mm-hmm.
and not shrinking yourself to fit into anyone else's expectations.
Yes.
And it just means choosing peace, purpose, faith every single day.
I love that. You are a wise young lady because you do not look like you could have a 28-year-old child
No,
at
no,
all.
no.
I'm like, wait, what? I thought 28 meant you were 28.
That's what I thought
So, yeah.
too.
So, anyway, whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, it's working for you.
Yep.
And then, of course, your
Thank
inner
you.
beauty is exuding through your book and your message. And I hope that people find you, I hope they find you to begin with, and then they find you inspirational to go through life, through find your authenticity and your truth, and don't worry. My biggest thing is some people, not everybody, some people are just worried about what other people think of them. And I don't know if it was a quote from Jack Nicholson or whoever, but it was like, what you think of me isn't my problem. It's your problem. It's, something like that. Because if you get me wrong, then it's your problem, your loss or whatever. But it's really not, it doesn't matter in this grand scheme of my life, what you think of me.
For sure. And I think to that, I would say that what keeps me grounded, because we hear it in entertainment all the time, right? What they think or how I should have done it, or, you know, how do I fit into their prescription, right? And I always go back to faith is my foundation for everything. It was the foundation for the book. It gave me strength to keep going. It allowed me to have clarity to understand my journey and what was next for me. As my mom would say, you'd be faced with two paths. So you either choose wisely or not so wisely, or just different path altogether.
Right.
And the purpose for which for me was is to share every page in that way, so that these pages reflect that grace. They reflect the redemption and the idea that, God is never going to abandon us. The universe is never going to abandon us. It's never going to leave us, even in our darkest moments. So just like a captain does not abandon his ship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's the same way I address the foundation of everything that I cover in the book.
So believing that there's something outside of you that's within you, but also outside of you, because that's kind of how I see it. It's within me, this powerful spirit, but it's also outside of me and connecting all of us together. I really, I would love to live in 1,000 years. Not because I want to like live for 1,000 years. That would get
You like to
boring,
see what
redundant. But
comes
I
from
really,
this.
I would like to be able to glimpse maybe into the future and see
Yeah.
what our world is going to be like and what we have figured out about the cosmos. And that's why I was interested in the moon phases, because I think there's just so much more we have to learn about how the world works and how the mind body connection and the connection from our minds, to each other. I think there's truth in ancient teachings, but they don't always apply in 2026. We have to make, there's lessons, but I think they've been tainted and changed and morphed into other things by people who don't understand, don't have a deeper understanding or a deeper thirst for understanding and truth. So I feel like, your book, these kinds of conversations are so important for us just to start thinking deeper, thinking there's more to this life than what's for dinner, go to work tomorrow, go to a concert on the weekend, all those superficial trappings, which we, have in our culture, which are fun parts of life. I'm not saying, it's not good, but there's more. And I feel like that's why when I say our culture is just, I feel like it's so superficial and we're so shallow, I guess is the word for it. So I think your book might inspire some deeper thought, which I think we greatly need in this world. So
Thank
yeah.
you, Kelly. Yes, for sure. I would say before we go down really truly understanding what is going on in the universe, right? I think it's important to first be able to confront the loss. And I think it's important to confront the betrayal or just moments where you may not be, or I wasn't feeling that I was enough, or excuse me, that I was not enough. And I think those parts weren't just words, but they were wounds. And I had to reopen that in order for me to be able to properly heal. So I think that before we delve into, what to do next, we need to find the healing process. And then we can discover all the other areas of what life has to offer us, because it's there,
Yeah.
with having that faith, with being honest with ourselves,
Yep.
etc.
I love that. Yeah, because you have to heal if you're carrying around all your pain. And also, when you have a lot of pain, you're hurting other people through that pain. So once you heal, you won't be so hurtful towards other people and resentful. That's another thing that really drives me nuts. When I've hurt someone and they don't tell me, what happens is they take it out on me subconsciously in other ways. And then I don't understand it. And I'm like, why are you treating me like that? And subconsciously they feel justified because I did this to them. But you've never told me that I did it. So I didn't have the chance to apologize and make it right because I didn't even know you never told
Right.
me
We didn't know
that
it
I hurt
happened.
you.
Right.
And so I feel like we all have to get braver about that and be braver about hearing it. That you hurt my feelings when you did this or said this. And then I would respond, oh my gosh, I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. I love you, blah, blah, blah. And that's part of the healing process when we're dealing with other people too. So I think that's very helpful, a helpful lesson to learn to heal and heal ourselves too. Because sometimes we don't get that opportunity to confront someone or confront sometimes it's just rejection or disappointment. Something didn't go the way you planned. And there's really no one to blame. You just have to kind of heal internally. So,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that in the book, I explore different levels of love and romance and what is self-love and what is spiritual love, right?
yeah.
And I will say that for me, romantic love did teach me a lot of lessons. I think self-love taught me about boundaries and how important they are. And then the spiritual love taught me who I truly am. And I think that my message that I hope for women is that you are worthy as you are, and not because of who loves you, chooses you, or validates you, but because you were created with purpose and your past doesn't define your value.
Yes. Yep. Agree.
And
Yep.
that's
That's a
all I
very
have.
very powerful lesson. Well, thank you so much for sharing with
Yeah.
us and your journey and pouring your heart out. And I'm sure anybody that watches this will be inspired by you. Not to mention all the things that you've done and plan to do with your life and your future. So I hope you'll come back, and
Thanks,
if you do
Karen.
that movie or if you have that podcast, let us know, or come back and join us, and we'll talk about it again because you're
For
a
sure.
delightful person and
Thank you,
very
Kelly.
inspiring. Very inspiring.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you, John. I really
Well,
appreciate it. It's great to
my
see you
my
both.
pleasure. But obviously, towards the end of this, it was a conversation between the women for women. So I just stepped back a little bit. Uh,
But
okay.
you can always join in.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, sometimes
no.
he does that. He just gets quiet and lets the ladies talk.
Yeah, yeah. I've learned. I've learned the things I've learned too. But okay. And so, yeah, stick around after we log off. I want to talk
Yeah.
to you for a second too. So,
Yeah. We want to
okay. Go ahead, Kelly. Take
But
us out.
anyway, okay. Bye,
All right.
everyone. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you so
Bye,
much. Have a great
Katerin.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All views expressed in this video belong to Kelly Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain. Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kelly and John.